הנני העני ממאס, נרעש ונבחן מפחד, יושב תהילות ישראל.
Good morning, Shana Tova, and welcome to our service. We begin our service this morning with some words of welcome from the president of our congregation, Sharon Kushner.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shana Tova, and welcome to our very first virtual Rosh Hashana service. Rabbi Newman, Cantor Michelle, and Janet have been working very hard since July to bring us meaningful, creative, and memorable High Holy Day services that are accessible to all of us. I'd like to thank them, as well as the wonderful musicians and those that have participated in all of the readings. You know, it's hard to believe that I'm starting my third term as B'nai Vail's president, and certainly this past year has been one for the record books. B'nai Vail's first virtual Shabbat services was uploaded to YouTube on March 20th. That service got 660 views. Each week since then, this team has been able to produce new and very artistic content, enabling the congregation really to stay connected. They're truly doing an outstanding job. You know, I know we all miss getting together and catching up with old friends, that feeling of seeing somebody we haven't seen in months and giving them a huge hug, turning to someone you've just met at Shabbat services on Friday night and wishing them a Shabbat Shalom. Hiking, biking, or even taking the gondola up to the beautiful spiritual mountaintop service. As difficult as these times are, this dreadful virus is teaching us new ways to stay connected to our loved ones. We're in uncharted territory, but I can't help thinking about all of the positive things that have happened as a result of all of this. We're reaching far more people, between 200 and 400 people per week with our Friday night Shabbat services than we ever could have in person. Being able to watch in the comfort of your own home with a glass of wine certainly has its advantages. People who never or rarely go to services are tuning in on Fridays, like my neighbor. He's actually not Jewish, but he found out through 23andMe that he has a very small percentage of his ancestry that's Ashkenazi Jew. While it's unlikely that he and his wife would attend a Shabbat service at the chapel, they haven't missed watching one of our virtual services. There's been a resurgence of community spirit. People are showing what kindness in action looks like, offering to shop for older neighbors, dropping off food and care packages, and generally looking out for each other. Rabbi Newman has personally reached out to so many of you in the past few months, doing wellness checks, just making sure everybody's staying healthy. Through your incredibly generous donations to the Rabbi Discretionary Fund, hundreds of congregants, healthcare providers, first responders, and charitable organizations in the Vail Valley were provided with food and/or financial assistance during some very, very difficult times. So while B'nai Vail is not able to provide the 60 plus events and programs that we typically hold in person during the year, we will continue to find innovative ways to stay connected with and support all of you. Please know, we do rely heavily on the dues from our 318 member households to keep us going. Salaries, rent, and administrative expenses still need to be paid. Hebrew and religious schools are still being done virtually. Our technology expenses have grown significantly in this new environment. B'nai Vail still needs your membership dues this year to help us maintain a viable and thriving Jewish community for our future. Thankfully, we're already seeing the memberships coming in strong thanks to all of you. We've already had numerous families step up to become pillars and/or upgrade their pillar memberships. Know that B'nai Vail will never exclude anyone on the basis of financial capacity. All of our members are important to us, so if you feel that this year's contribution will be a hardship, we encourage you to contact us in confidence, where you can privately discuss a special arrangement. You know, I wish I had a crystal ball to be able to see when things are going to get back to normal. One thing I do know is that this very special Mountain Jewish congregation will continue to support and look out for one another and show gratitude and appreciation for what we have as a community. So remember to be kind, be smart, stay healthy, and stay safe until we can see each other again. Hag Sameach.
Come, come, whoever you are, come, come. 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 Wanderers, worshippers, oh, lovers of living. It doesn't matter, ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, come, whoever you are, come, come. 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 Come, even if you have broken some promises. Come, even if you have broken your vow 1,000 times. Come, come, wherever you are.
Shana Tova, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to our service. We begin our service at the top of page 1 with a beautiful reading of family Rosh Hashanah prayer read by Fetty and Nate Goldberg.
Hashana Tova. May we never take for granted the gift of this new year as we sit nestled in our homes, sharing this brief moment with family and friends.
May the satisfaction of sharing Rosh Hashanah harden our spirits, and may the peace of these high holidays bring quiet to our spirits.
May this time set aside for song and prayer bring us closer together in thoughts and deed.
May this space we share become our place of devotion, glowing with reverence and filled with our traditions.
May the beginning of this new year encourage us to glimpse ahead so that we can look back and reflect on what was and be proud of who we are and who we can be next year. Amen.
Our service continues now in the middle of page 1 with our morning brachot as we join with the cantor.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lesachvi vina lehavchin, ben yom uven laila. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael betifara.
Our service now continues in the middle of page 2 with the reading Just for Today by Dan and Sharon.
Just for today, I will live one day only, forgetting yesterday and tomorrow, and not trying to solve the whole problem of life at once.
Just for today, I'll be unafraid of life and death, unafraid to enjoy the beautiful and be happy. People are as happy as they make up their minds to be.
Just for today, I will adjust myself to what is, and not try to adjust everything to suit me. If I cannot have what I like, I will try to like what I have.
Just for today, I will be agreeable, cheerful, charitable, do my best, praise people for what they can do, not criticize them for what they cannot do. And if I find fault, I will forgive it and forget it. I will try not to improve nor regulate anybody except myself.
Just for today, I'll have a plan. I may not follow it exactly, but I will have one. It will save me from the worry, hurry, and indecision.
Just for today, I will get people off my nerves and not get on theirs. I will appreciate them for what they do and what they are.
Just for today, I will not show it if my feelings are hurt.
Just for today, I will find a little time for quiet, to relax, and to realize what life is and can be. Time to think about God and get a better perspective of myself.
Just for today, I will look at life with fresh eyes and discover the wonder of it. I will know that as I give to the world, so the world will give to me.
Our service now continues with Pazuki de Zimra. Baruch She'amar, as the cantor, leads all of us.
Baruch she'amar v'haya olam, Baruch hu, Baruch Hosei Bereshit, Baruch Omer ve'oseh, ברוך משלם שכר טוב ליראיו, ברוך חי לעד וקיים לנצח, ברוך מודה ומצליל, ברוך שמו.
As we lift our eyes to the mountains, we continue in join with the cantor, Esa Einai. As our service continues with Psalm 150, Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
As we continue with the singing in our prayer book, Hamelech, the King, majestic God on high, to be followed by Yishtabach.
ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו.
As our service continues, the cantor will lead us now in the Reader's Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, אמן. בעלמא דברה חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חון ויומי חון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה ולעילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דמירון ועולמה, ואמרו
Our service continues with the chanting of the Baruch Hu, our call to worship, and it will then be followed by Yotzer Or, our prayer for nature.
Hamevora
We now continue in the middle of page 6 with the reading, "And the Lord said to Moses." It will be read by Ian and Liz.
The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel, and bid them to make fringes in the corners of their garments throughout their generations, putting upon the fringe of each corner a thread of blue.
When you look upon the fringe, you will be reminded of all the commandments of the Lord and obey them. You will not be led astray by the inclinations of your heart or by the attraction of your eyes.
Thus you will be reminded to fulfill all of my commandments and be consecrated to your God. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt to be with your God. I, the Lord, am your God."
As we join together in the Shema, the most ancient prayer found within our Siddur, we join with the cantor, Shema and V'ahavta.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto Leolam Vaed, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, Bechol levavcha uvchol nafshecha, uvechol meodecha, vehayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha, hayom alevavecha, vishinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha bevetecha, ulechtecha vaderech, uvshachbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot bein einecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha.
As we turn in our prayer books to page 8, we read how the waters were closing upon the pursuing Egyptians, and the Israelites were now free to sing Mi Chamocha. It will then be followed by Tzur Yisrael, Rock of Israel.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh, norah tehilot osef eleh, shirah chadesha, shivcho ge'ulim, לשמחה שפתיים, יחד כולם הודו וילכו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Sur Yisrael, Uma Bezrot Yisrael, Ufetech Vinu Mecha, Yehuda v'Yisrael. Oleinu Adonai tzivot shemo, kiddush Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Kol Yisrael.
Our service now continues in the top of page 9. We have a reading that talks about the use of time. It'll be read by Maxine Grayboyce.
Once a busy merchant went to the Rebbe of his small village and inquired how he might attain humility. While he spoke, the clock struck the hour. The Rebbe said, "What is your answer?" Nothing should humble us more than the striking of a clock. We know that another hour of our lives has passed, and we should think, what have I done in this hour that has passed? And how have I improved my soul during this hour through the service of God?
In the middle of page 9, as we continue in Bryce, the cantor will offer the chanting of Adonai Sfatai, Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. The cantor continues.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, ve'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, v'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevi geula livnei v'neihem, lema'an shemo be'ahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחלקי החיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומיתו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך. וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיהם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהייך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. בשבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
L'dor vador, from generation to generation we shall praise your name. As the cantor continues, the middle of page 16.
ולנצח נצחים ולנצח לחיים טובים, לחיים טובים ולשלום. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע ושפתי מדבר מרמה ולמקללי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי 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 נצור לשוני מרע ושפתי מדבר מרמה ולמקללי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי 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 נצור לשוני מרע ושפתי מדבר מרמה וימקללי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה
So we continue with the reading of Vinu Malcano by Dave Wolf. It talks about our connection with God of Vinu Malcano.
Vinu Malcano. Vinu Malcano, bless my family with peace. Teach us to appreciate the treasure of our lives. Help us to find contentment in one another. Save us from dissension and jealousy. Shield us from pettiness and rivalry. May selfish pride not divide us. May pride in one another unite us. Help us to renew our acceptance and understanding for one another, especially when they are different from ourselves. In the light of our Torah, grant us, the people of Israel, and all of our children everywhere, health, fulfillment, harmony, peace, and joy. Amen.
Avinu Malkeinu,
As we now turn in our prayer books to page 29, we begin the service for taking the Torah out of the ark.
Ein kamocha ve'elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim hetiv havirtzoncha et Zion, tivne chomot Yerushalayim, tivne chomot Yerushalayim, ki vecha levad batachnu, melech el ram v'nisa adon olamim.
As our service continues with Adonai, Adonai, it's a beautiful prayer that we recite 3 times, because by tradition, if you have hurt someone, you're supposed to ask their forgiveness 1 time. Again, if they reject your forgiveness, you ask a 2nd time. Upon another rejection, the 3rd time is chanted, and now God has forgiven you. The cantor continues as we join with her. Adonai, Adonai.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti, Unromema Shemo Yachdav, Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod ki cho b'shamayim uvaretz ki cho b'shamayim uvaretz lecha Adonai hamlacha ve'amitnaseh lechol Rosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu וישתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו
Our Torah reading continues on page 32 if you would like to follow along. It's taken from Genesis chapter 21, where God remembers each of us is a major motif of Rosh Hashanah. Tradition has it that on Rosh Hashanah, Sarah, Rachel, and Hannah, well, they were remembered and blessed with a child. The blessings of parenthood are celebrated in this Torah reading. Please follow along.
תעמוד העלייה הראשון לתורה.
Baruch et Adonai HaMarak. Baruch Adonai HaMarak Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Adonai paked et Sarah kasher amar v'yaseh Adonai l'Sarah kasher dibahar v'tahar v'telech Sarah l'Abraham ben lishkonav l'moad asher dibar oto Elohim v'yikra Abraham et shem beno hanolad lo asher yodolo Sarah Yitzchak Vayamal Abraham et Yitzchak bano ben shmonat yamim kasher tzivat oto Elohim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'ha'ei olam nata b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
תעמוד העלייה השני לתורה.
Baruch et Adonai HaMavorach. Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Abraham benat shana v'yivalelo et Yitzchak beno v'tomer Sarah seho atachli Elohim kol hashemea Yitzchakli v'tomer mi milel Abraham mi mikavanim Sarah kelazivei niskuna dal yalev regama vayas Abraham yishtae gadol miyom minabel et Yitzchak atit Rei Sarah et Per Hagar Hamitzri Asher Yadav Avraham Nitzahei.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet V'haye olam notah b'tokenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Ya'amod ha'aliyah hashlishi laTorah.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach li'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bocha banu mikol ha'amin, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vatera Sarah et ben Hagar hamitzrit, asher yelda la'Avraham mitzahek, vatomer la'Avraham garesh ha'ama hazot ve'ek bena kilo yirash ben ha'ama hazot im beni im Yitzhak, vayera hadavar ma'od be'ena Avraham al odot beno, vayomer Elohim al Avraham al Yebra be'enach al Naar va'al hamatecha, kol asher tomar elecha, Sarah Shema bikola.
Ki Yitzchak yikarei lecha Zara.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
We've now arrived at that time in our service where we think about those in our community who are in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit, as we continue in the cantor chants for us, Misha Baruch, in the middle of page 7.
May the source of strength
We now continue in our prayer books on page 33 with the lifting and binding of our Torah by Ian and Liz. Please rise.
Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe.
Our service continues on the top of page 34 with a reading about honesty, and it will be read by Matt from Montreal.
Sometimes we think that because our mistakes and misdeeds are not known to others, we can, quote unquote, get away with it. Judaism teaches that the truly honest person is honorable in private and in public, as we recite daily in our prayers. A former hockey goalie, Jacques Plante, who played for the Montreal Canadiens from 1953 to 1962 and won the Stanley Cup 6 times, was once asked, "What is it like to have a job where, if you made a mistake, a big spinning red light goes on and 18,000 people boo? Perhaps it would be easier for us to be honest if a big spinning red light went on every time we sinned. Unfortunately, or fortunately, that does not happen. Thus, Rosh Hashanah reminds us that only God knows our innermost thoughts, and deeds can keep us straight, honest, and honorable."
Follow along on page 34 as we have the blessings in Haftarah. They'll be chanted by Ken Wetcher. It's the story of Hannah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzah b'direhem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Habocher b'Torah u'v'Moshe avdo u'v'Yisrael amo u'v'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayihi ish echad min haramatayim tzofim behar Ephraim u'shemo Elkanah. There was a man from the highlands of Ephraim named Elkanah. He had 2 wives, one named Hannah and the other named Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah was childless. Year after year, Elkanah would go up from his town to worship and to offer sacrifices to God at Shiloh, where Eli and his 2 sons served as priests of the Lord. Whenever Elkanah offered his sacrifice, he would offer one for Peninnah and then a double portion for Hannah, for he loved Hannah, although she bore him no children. For years Hannah wept as she was teased and ridiculed by Peninnah. Once Hannah was praying in Shiloh, and she took a vow, saying, "O Lord of hosts, if you will look upon the plight of your servant and give me a son, then I will dedicate my son to God for all the days of his life, and no razor shall ever touch his head." As she continued praying before God, the priest Eli watched her. Hannah's lips moved, but she uttered no sound. and Eli thought she was a drunken woman. Eli said to her, "Enough of this drunkenness, put away your wine." Then Hannah replied, saying, "No, my Lord, I am a woman in deep distress. I have had no wine." Thus Eli answered, saying, "Go in peace, and may the God of Israel answer your prayer." God remembered Hannah, and in time she bore a son, whom she named Shemuel. When Hannah had weaned him, she brought Shemuel to the house of the Lord at Shiloh. She said to Eli the priest, "My Lord, I am the woman who stood near you here, praying to God. It was this boy that I prayed for, and God has answered my prayer. Therefore, I have dedicated him to God for as long as he lives. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol ha'olamim, tzadik b'kol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'emon, ha'omer v'yoseh, hamdaber u'mkayim, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu, v'ne'emanim devarecha, v'davar echad midvarecha, echor lo yashuv rekam, ki el melech ne'eman v'rachaman atah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'ne'eman b'kol devarav, rachem al Tzion, ki hi beit chayenu, v'laluvat nefesh toshia, b'meira b'yameinu. Baruch atah Adonai, v'sameach Tzion b'vaneha. Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu, be'Eliyahu hanavi avdecha, u'malchut beit David meshichecha, b'meira yavo v'yagel libeinu, al kiso lo yeshev zor, v'lo yinchalu od acherim et kvodo, ki b'shem kadshecha nishbata lo, shelo yichben nero le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen David. Al HaTorah, v'al Avodah, v'al Anvim, v'al Yom HaShabbat hazeh, v'al Yom HaZikaron hazeh, shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, likdusha v'limnucha, l'chavod u'ltifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, umvarchim otach, yitbarach shimcha, b'fi kochai tamid li'olam va'ed, u'dvarcha emet v'kayam la'ad. Baruch atah Adonai, melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh HaShabbat v'Yisrael. Yom HaZikaron.
Let's take a moment now for a thought and a prayer. Rosh Hashanah is a good time to reflect upon this past year and we just savor every minute we had with our loved ones who are now gone. Rosh Hashanah provides an opportunity to try to understand and forgive those who have hurt us and ask forgiveness to those we have hurt. During the High Holy Days, we're reminded that, well, everything we do leaves a mark. It leaves a mark and we cannot always erase that mark, but we can try and correct it. There was once a reporter traveling across the United States in search of interesting stories, and he came across a town in mid-America and at first blush it seemed like every other town he had visited. However, there was one thing different about this town. No one held a cell phone, an iPad, a laptop. Everyone in town, well, they jotted down notes on a pad of paper with a pencil. He couldn't remember when he had seen so many people with pencils in their hands. So he stopped a clerk in the store and he asked, "Excuse me, But can you tell me, why is it that everyone in town uses a pencil? And the clerk responded, these are special pencils. These are Goldberg's pencils. These pencils are the wisest pencils in the world. When you write with them, well, they actually make you feel better. And what makes these pencils so special? Asked the reporter. No one really knows, answered the clerk. These pencils are produced in Goldberg's factory, and no one is permitted to enter that factory except Mr. Goldberg. Well, the reporter knew he had a hot story when he came across one, so he decided to infiltrate the Goldberg pencil factory. He finds the address, parks his car, and then in the dead of the night, he breaks into the factory and waits for the morning to witness the production of the famous Goldberg pencils. Well, sure enough, 8 o'clock a.m., the door opens, the factory opens, and in walks Mr. Goldberg. The reporter watches as he puts on an apron, he puts on his gloves, his goggles, and he proceeds with the production of his pencils. But nothing's out of the ordinary as far as pencil production goes. But just before 5 p.m., when Mr. Goldberg has finished 100 beautiful yellowish orange number 2 pencils, he places them down on the work table and he addresses them as follows. Kinderlach, my little pencils, you're about to go forth into the world, schools, businesses, homes, and so forth. Remember the following important lessons. 1, everything you do will always leave a mark. 2, if you're not so happy with the mark, don't worry about it. You can erase it. Erase it quickly, because the longer you leave the mark, the harder it will be to erase it. And 3, you're going to undergo some painful sharpening, but you know what? It'll make you a better pencil. And 4, at some time you may end up in a desk for years and years, or behind a shelf, or lost on the road, abandoned, forgotten, and alone. At those times, remember what makes you a pencil is not what's outside of you, it's what's inside of you. And finally, dear Kinderlach, my dear pencils, in order to be the very best pencil in the world, you have to be held and guided by the hand that holds you. So respect that hand, for it'll help you become what you were put on this earth to be. And with that address to the pencils, Mr. Goldberg turned out the lights, went home after a day's work, and the reporter knew what made Goldberg pencils so special. With the passing of every day, you and I, we leave a mark. Well, last year as we sat in the Vail Chapel, many of us looked forward to 2020. We had all sorts of plans of what the new year would be. And just as we had planned, well, Jews for thousands of years always hoped and prayed that the new year would be even better than the last. Surprises were just not part of the design. And that's why there's that old Yiddish saying, man tracht und Gott tracht. Man plans and God laughs. Well, Rosh Hashanah comes each year to remind us that despite our most careful planning, the road of life, well, it's unpredictable. We might have planned a roadmap for the new year, but unforeseen roadblocks can and did deter us. Our best laid plans in life have been upended by unexpected virus that has crippled the world. At a time like this, I turn to the teachings of the Torah, 3,000 years of lessons that we can live by today. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, he'll be remembered as the leader of the Jewish people who he offered hope and comfort and faith, and he offered it during very unpredictable times. Moses may have attempted to navigate a 40-year roadmap, but even then, man tracht und Gott lacht. Man plans and God laughs. On Rosh Hashanah, aging and loneliness, well, it's all in our minds. 54 years ago, the Beatles recorded a song. It was a song Paul McCartney actually wrote when he was only 16 years old. But when I first heard the Beatles song, When I'm 64, well, it seemed to be about my parents, not about me. But that one key verse, when I get older, losing my hair many years from now, Will you be sending me a Valentine, birthday greetings, bottle of wine? If I'd been out till 2:45, would you lock the door? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? Will you still need me indeed? If we had a choice, many of us would take a Peter Pan pill and stay young forever. But you know, that's just not an option. With aging comes loss of many kinds. But listen to this elderly gentleman's description of himself. I've sure gotten old. I've had 2 bypass surgeries, a hip replacement, new knees, fought prostate cancer and diabetes. I'm half blind. I can't hear anything quieter than a jet engine. Take 40 different medications that make me dizzy, winded, subject to blackouts. I have bouts with dementia, poor circulation, hardly feel my hands and feet anymore. I can't remember if I'm 85 or 92, and I've lost all of my friends. But thank God I still have my driver's license. You know, for any of us as we age, there are many adjustments required. The way we learn, the way we respond to medical breakthroughs, our social relationships and communication methods, work environments, intergenerational relations are all they require adjustment, flexibility, a commitment to offer our best, even when it means an extra effort. So I ask you today, how are you going to spend the 10 days until the shofar sounds at the end of Yom Kippur? How will you make peace with yourself, with others, and with God? Will you continue to carry the burdens of the past into the new year? Or will you take care of the unfulfilled, outstanding debts in your life? In 10 days, we can change our lives. We can change the lives of those around us. So I'd like to suggest that we begin each day in the week ahead, thinking about the words of Hillel, Im lo achshav imotai. If not now, when? Because now is the time to deal with our unfinished business so we can truly have a new year. So you know what? Take out Goldberg's special pencil and make a mark. Make a mark for this new year to help others reconnect with loved ones and continue to show patience as together we look forward to better days. Shana Tova. Please follow along on page 38 with the sounding of the shofar. We are so lucky to have so many of our members who were willing to volunteer in Houston, Breckenridge, and right here in Edwards. Enjoy the sounding of the shofar.
Tekiah, Shvarim Trua, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim Trua, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim Trua, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah.
Well, thank you for sounding the shofar so beautifully as we continue now, the bottom of page 38, with a beautiful reading about the sound of the shofar, read by Bernie and Helene Grabowski.
When we hear the sound of the shofar, May we be inspired to show far and wide the importance of honor, respect, and civility in our discourse with our adversaries.
When we hear the sound of the shofar, may we be inspired to show far and wide the importance of kindness, love, and generosity in our outreach to those less fortunate.
When we hear the sound of the shofar, may we be inspired to show far and wide the importance of righteousness, honesty, and humility in our daily lives.
When we hear the sound of the shofar, may we be inspired to show far and wide the importance of fairness, responsibility, and sincerity in appreciation of our freedoms.
This Rosh Hashanah, may we heed the clarion call of the shofar as it beckons us to remind us of these cherished ideals.
On the bottom of page 38, as we now continue again with the sounding of the shofar.
Tekiah, Trua, Tekiah, Tekiah, Trua, Tekiah, Tekiah, Trua, Tekiah Gedolah.
On page 39, we continue with the singing of America the Beautiful. How grateful we are to live in such a wonderful land, as we join with the cantor.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
What a wonderful land is the land of Israel. We're so privileged to have Shimon Zemer, who traveled to Jerusalem, to the Has Promenade, to lead all of us in the singing of Hatikva. Please rise.
Shalom, Bnei Vail from Israel. I'm so happy and proud to stand here. Jerusalem is behind my back, the old city of Jerusalem, the Temple Mount, and as I'm standing here, I'm so happy to sing a tikva for you, for the holiday. Shalom to everybody.
Please remain standing as the Torah is now returned to the ark.
Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav Shemo levado. Hodu al eretz v'shamayim vayarem kerem le'amo tehila lechol chasidav livnei Yisrael am krovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Eitz chaim hi lemahazikim ba v'tom hecha meushar derahecha darchei noam v'chol netivotecha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Kaddish, Kaddish yameinu, Kaddish yameinu
On the top of page 41, we now have a reading that talks about Hillel and his view and approach towards tzedakah. It'll be read by Warren Grayboyce.
The great rabbi of the first century, Hillel, once asked a group of students, if a man has 1,000 dinar and gives 300 dinar to the poor, how much does he then have? 700, the students replied. Not so, declared Hillel. He truly possesses only the 300 dinar he gave to tzedakah. He may lose the other 700 by accident in a business venture, or with luck, he may leave them to his children. Therefore, know that all a person truly possesses for eternity is the money that the person gives away.
Now at the bottom of page 41, as we continue and rise, the cantor will lead us in the chanting of Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, latet gerula leotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, Malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, v'nemar, v'haya Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, ushemo, echad.
Please join with me now in the mourner's Kaddish. Yitz gadal v'yitz kadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad divrach hirutei v'yamlik malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agalav izman kariv v'imramein, yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam omei maya. Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitzramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudisha v'reichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush v'chata v'nechemata damiran v'yamavin ramein. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'ramein. Oseh shalom bin ramav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'ramein. Written in the 11th century by the great Spanish Jewish poet and philosopher, Solomon ibn Gabriel, Adon Olam combines poetic beauty with the simplicity of language. Our prayer concludes with the statement, I place my soul with God's palm before I sleep and when I wake. And though my body I forsake, rest in the Lord in fearless calm. As we join with the cantor, Adon Olam.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'eit nasa v'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yiyeh b'tifara v'hu echad ve'ein sheni lehamshilo lehachbira bli reshit bli tachlit ve'lo haoz ve'hamisra ve'hu eini ve'chai go'ali v'tzur chevli ve'et tzara ve'hu nisi umanos li menat kosi ve'yom ekra be'yado avkir ruchi ve'et ishon ve'a'ira ve'im ruchi geviyati Adonai li v'lo iru.
Allow me to offer now a closing prayer. Adonai oz le'amo yatein, Adonai varechet amo v'shalom. May the Lord grant strength unto his people, bless all peoples in this new year with peace. Well, let's take a moment now as you would hold your wine and challah and join with the Levi girls in kiddush, motzi, and then for a sweet new year, join with them and have some apples and honey.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'etz. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu, sheit Kaddish aleinu shana tova. Hashana tova. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu, sheit Kaddish aleinu shana tova umetuka shana tova. Tkiya gedola.
Shana Tova Tikatevu. Have a sweet new year.